text came through while I was standing in the grocery store staring at a box of cereal, and I swear my hands went cold before my brain even fully processed the words. "We've agreed. You're no longer part of the family. Don't come to any gatherings." It was from my mom. No explanation. No phone call first. Just that. I read it 3 times, standing there like an idiot while people pushed their carts around me, and this wave of anger and heartbreak hit me at the same time. I remember thinking, who is we? And how do you just decide someone is no longer your child? Was I really so terrible? Or was I finally being punished for not playing my role anymore? And I need you to tell me honestly, by the end of this story, was I wrong for what I did? Or would you have done the same thing if you were in my place? Because sometimes I still wonder if I burned everything down, or if it was already burning and I just finally walked away. So to explain how it got to that text, I have to go back a bit, because none of this happened overnight. I grew up in what people on the outside called a tight-knit family. We did Sunday dinners, big holidays, birthday parties with way too much food, and matching pajamas on Christmas. My mom loved to post about us on Facebook like we were this perfect picture, all smiles and inside jokes. But inside the house it was very different. My dad was quiet, almost invisible, like he'd melted into the background over the years. My mom, though, she was the sun everything had to orbit around. Her word was law. If she was in a good mood, everyone breathed easier. If she wasn't, the whole house choked. I'm the middle child. My older brother, Daniel, was the golden boy who could set the house on fire, and somehow it would still be my fault. My younger sister, Lily, was the baby, sheltered from everything. And then there was me, the difficult one, the one who talked back, who took things too personally, which basically meant I noticed when things weren't fair. When I was in high school, I started realizing that every decision I made was somehow criticized. If I wanted to join drama club, I was wasting time. If I stayed home and studied, I was antisocial. My mom had this way of saying things that sounded like jokes but landed like knives. Well, not everyone can be as smart as Daniel. Or if you dressed nicer, maybe you'd have more friends. And anytime I tried to explain that it hurt, I became dramatic. Ungrateful, disrespectful. I learned to swallow a lot. I moved out at 21, which was apparently my first giant sin. My mom told everyone I had abandoned the family, even though I moved only 30 minutes away and still came for every holiday. But the real issue started when I began dating Mark. My mom didn't like him from the moment he walked through the door. Not because he was rude or disrespectful. Honestly, he tried harder than anyone. He brought flowers, volunteered to help with dishes, remembered everyone's birthdays. But he had opinions, and worse, he encouraged me to have mine. When my mom made one of her little cutting remarks about me gaining weight, he gently said, "That's not really a kind thing to say." And that was it. From then on, he was the enemy. She told me later, "He's turning you against your family." No, he wasn't. He was just the first person who said out loud what I'd been feeling for years. Things boiled over one Thanksgiving. The house was packed, the smell of turkey everywhere. Kids running around, that normal chaos. My mom, as usual, was in queen mode, barking orders, complaining loudly, making passive-aggressive comments about how nobody ever helps her. I was chopping vegetables when she suddenly said, in front of everyone, "Daniel's girlfriend is so put together, not like some people who just let themselves go and can't hold a job." I had just lost my job 2 weeks earlier due to layoffs. Everyone knew. It was humiliating. I laughed it off at first because that's what I always did. But then she added, "Maybe if you listened to me more and less to that boyfriend of yours, your life wouldn't be such a mess." It felt like the air got sucked out of the room. I heard Mark shift in his chair. My heart was pounding, and something in me, the part that always stayed quiet, cracked. I said calmly, "Mom, that was mean. You don't have to talk to me like that." The entire table went silent. My mom froze, then smiled this tight smile. "See, this is what he's done to you. You think you're better than your own family now." We went back and forth, not yelling, just tense, sharp words. I told her I loved her, but I wasn't going to let her insult me anymore. She said if I didn't like it, I didn't have to come around. I said, "Okay, then maybe we need space." And you would think that would be the end of it. But it was just the beginning. After that day, things got cold. My calls went unanswered. My texts got one-word replies. I'd hear through Lily that there were get-togethers I wasn't invited to. My mom told relatives I was too busy or choosing my boyfriend over my family. Mark suggested I sit down with her one-on-one, try to talk. So I did. I drove over one afternoon with this whole speech rehearsed about boundaries and love and wanting a healthier relationship. She didn't let me finish. She said, "You're brainwashed. When you break up with him, you'll come crawling back." I went home and cried for hours. Months passed. We talked here and there, mostly surface level, and I tried to keep the peace. But then my dad had a small health scare. Nothing life-threatening, thank God, but scary enough. And nobody told me. I found out from a cousin, 2 days after the fact. I called my mom furious, asking why she hadn't told me. She said we didn't want drama. That's when something shifted in me for good. I said, "I'm not the drama. Your refusal to treat me like part of this family is." She hung up. And that was the last real conversation before the text. Months later, I'm in the grocery store, just living my life, when my phone buzzes with that message. "We've agreed. You're no longer part of the family. Don't come to any gatherings." No explanation. No, "We love you, but this is hard." Just exile, like they'd had a vote and decided I was out. I sat in my car after and just cried until my face hurt. Then I felt this weird calm. I screenshotted the text, sent it to Lily, and asked, "Did you know about this?" She replied, "Mom said it was for your own good. That you're toxic now." Toxic. Because I asked not to be insulted. So here's where I really need your perspective. So that's the situation I was in, and I had to make a choice. Before I tell you what happened next, I want you to pause and comment below what you would have done in my shoes. Do you try again? Keep begging for a place at a table where you're clearly not wanted? Or do you finally walk away even if it means losing everything you grew up with? Because at that point, both options felt like grief. Okay, so here's what I actually did. I didn't respond right away. I took a few days, talked it through with Mark, cried some more, wrote and deleted a dozen drafts of a reply. Eventually, I wrote one final text to my mom. I said, "I'm not going to fight to stay where I'm not welcome. I've only ever asked to be treated with respect. If that makes me not part of the family, then I accept that. But I won't engage in this anymore. If you ever want to talk, really talk, I'll be here." I hit send, blocked the group chat notifications, and put my phone down. And then the fallout began. My aunt called me, angry, saying I'd broken my mother's heart. My grandma told me family is everything, and that apologizing, even if I didn't mean it, would fix things. Daniel texted once, "You're being dramatic. Mom is just stressed." Lily cried on the phone and told me she loved me, but she didn't want to get in the middle. It hurt in a way I can't fully explain. It felt like a funeral for people who were still alive. But something else slowly happened too. My life got quieter. I stopped constantly bracing myself for the next criticism. I started therapy. I learned words like emotional manipulation and scapegoat. I realized how many times I had made myself small, just so my mom could feel big. And I started building my own version of family. Friends, coworkers, neighbors, people who didn't use love like a leash. About 6 months later, I got another message from my mom. Short, cold. "We're having a barbecue next weekend. It would be nice if you apologized and joined us. Not we miss you, not let's talk. Just an expectation that I would crawl back." I stared at it for a long time. There was a part of me, the kid part, that wanted to run over there, hug her, pretend everything was normal again. But the adult part of me remembered that grocery store text, remembered sitting in my car crying, remembered realizing that I mattered less to them than maintaining control. So I replied, "I'm not apologizing for wanting to be treated with kindness. I hope the barbecue goes well." She didn't respond. Word got around that I was too proud. Holidays passed. Birthdays. Photos on social media of everyone together. Laughing, pretending. And yeah, sometimes it still stings. Sometimes I see a post and wonder if I messed up, if I should have just swallowed it all and stayed quiet. But then I think about that text. "You're no longer part of the family." And I realize that anyone who can cut you off, that was never really loving you unconditionally. The climax, if you want to call it that, wasn't me yelling or slamming doors. It was me choosing myself for the first time, really choosing. The aftermath has been messy, lonely at times, but also peaceful in a way I never had before. I wish things were different. I wish my mom could see me beyond the role she assigned me. I wish she could apologize, but I know now I can't force that. I can only control how I respond, and if one day she reaches out sincerely, I'll listen. I'm not made of stone, but until then, I'm not walking back into a fire just because it's familiar. So here's my final thought, and maybe the moral if there is one. Family isn't defined by DNA or holiday pictures. It's defined by how people treat you when you're vulnerable. If someone constantly hurts you and calls it love, you're allowed to step away. You're allowed to choose peace over proximity. And if hearing that makes me the villain in their story, I can live with that. If you were on my side in this, like this video, because it honestly helps more than you think. Subscribe for more stories like this. There's a lot more I've been through, and I'm finally ready to talk. And share your final thoughts on this whole mess in the comments section, because I genuinely want to know, was I wrong? Or did I just finally stop playing a role that was killing me? Thanks for listening, and I'll see you all in the next story.